family for a long time, and he's been the secretary of the association. That's the association that I have been having taken over 2 years ago. And thank you, Professor Kutan, for spending the time to be here. Now, given the informal structure of the whole thing, one thing that I would like to say is I'm really thankful to all of you for sparing the time for coming back to Atlanta. And it's in a way gift that you give to the Institute in terms of time. And that's something which we really look forward to, the people coming back, spending the time. And I must say I'm grateful also to all the families who have come here, wives and kids, because at the end of it, unless they permit that this moves, no matter how much you love your Hall 2 or your Hall 3 or whatever it was, this movement to Kanpur does not happen. So thank you all for kind of coming here, spending a couple of days with us. And there's another small side to this whole reunion, and that is, I would think that there is a time that we take back from the society. That's the time when we are students. The society kind of invests in education, and all of us have been kind of very fortunate to have gotten education here at a very, very subsidized rate in the society. We had better be indebted to the society and the people who kind of made that possible. And given that, it's a matter of time that we choose to give back to society. And we are giving back to society in our own ways by working in whatever profession we are, wherever we are working. In all the scheme of things, obviously, you know where I'm heading towards. There is a very special place to the alma mater, whether it's IIT Kanpur or any other place where you study. So, I will make a pitch for the institute that yes, you please give back to the institute whatever you can, and so on and so forth. But in that pitch, my qualification would be the following. Money is only one part of it. I mean, I'm very clear in my mind on that. As far as money is concerned, $100, 100 rupees, and so on and so forth, there are schemes in the institute. The Dean of Resource and Alumni is supposed to be the officer designated by the institute for fundraising from the alumni and so on. He will probably make a pitch. The institute money is all right, that's one point, but at the end of it, please remember and understand that that's only one part of it. As far as engaging with the alumni is concerned, that is very high on the institute agenda, and I'm sure the director will say that tomorrow. And engagement does not come only with money, and money is just one part of it, as I was saying all the while. It's time. I mean, it's the input that you can provide to us in academic programs, research programs, perhaps directions in terms of what can be done, what should be done. Understandably, of course, we have our own limitations, and we work in a certain framework. We may or may not be able to directly implement whatever you say or whatever you suggest, but the option and the responsibility and rest is very much yours. And if you do that, at least as far as the Alumni Association is concerned, we'll be very happy to kind of channel those ideas to the right place in the institute. If you write to me, for example, that you want, would it be possible for mechanical engineering to do certain things, or electrical engineering to do certain things, or certain things to be done no matter where it is in the institute. I'll try to figure out in the institute what's the best person, what's the best department to do that. So I look forward to these reunions in that manner as an opportunity to meet people or talk to people who have gathered sufficient amount of experience and are now in a position to say that, well, whatever we learned is all right, but now what is the next generation, what the next generation needs to know. So in that direction, if there are suggestions on on academic programs, research programs, and so on, most welcome. There's yet another option, or that there's yet another avenue through which the student would be happy to engage with you and will be happy to facilitate it in any form as far as the alumni association is concerned. And that is, if some of you wants to spend some time here, in the sense of half a semester, 1 semester, and so on. So there are different ways in which we can engage, in the sense that there are courses which are being taught. See, there is a certain amount of, there's a certain kind of activity going on in this institute, and teaching is the primary discipline here. So if there is a course going on, you say that, okay, there is a course on data structure, algorithms, or machine process, or whatever that course is. You would like to either do it on your own, or you would like to spend some time giving some lectures in that. All those things are within the realm of possibility. I mean, we'll have to work out the details. But IIT Kanpur prides itself, and I must say that has not changed, in flexibility. That is, it may not be possible for us to make you an instructor in charge because of certain other complicated kind of reasons. But there is no bar on anyone being part of an instruction in a course. So it's engagement across the board, like through time, through spending some time here, through on mail or whatever. And of course, money is there at the end of it, yes. Those of you can, want to, or whatever it is, as a badge, as individuals, there are options that we can do that. Now, before I close my submission, because I didn't make a presentation, because I didn't want to go into all the details at the same time, I'll throw the floor open and invite questions. If you have specific questions as to what has happened on this particular thing, or what has happened on that particular thing, what are the things. So, among 4 or 5 of us who are here, I think we'll be able to kind of take care of most of those questions. So any questions or anything which you would like us to kind of speak a little bit more detail? Just
what are some of the significant contributions the Institute has made to the industry as such in terms of innovation in the last couple of decades?
The question is, what are some of the significant contributions or
the industry
to the industry which the Institute has made in the last couple of decades?
In terms of innovations or technologies or patents that have come up with? No, I'm not sure whether I'm prepared to answer that, but I can at least talk about the science.
We have a lot of interaction with the specific what contribution would be like good enough to be said is difficult. But for example, a lot of work in this thing, encryption has happened. So the algorithm that we have developed for encryption is being used by Indian Armed Forces today. The entire encryption of Navy and Air Force is done through the mechanisms developed at IIT Kanpur. Also, the smart card technology, the entire operating system API was developed here. This Costa is the name. The Indian standard for smart cards is IIT Kanpur contribution. We have done a lot of contribution in this multi-core architectures. A lot of contribution to compilers, the design of multi-core and so on. So we work very closely with Intel on that. We have also worked with organizations like RAW and IB and CBI in terms of internet monitoring. So, I mean, there are many things that I can talk about this computer science department. Other departments I'm not quite aware of.
What I'll do is I'll take this question. It's a completely valid question. You need to know an answer, you deserve to know an answer. I'll try to get the Dean R&D to put together a small note, and that I'll try to circulate before you leave.
We have actually established an industry collaboration advisory group which continuously interacts with the industry, sourcing their needs and trying to give out solutions which are, because most of us might be on the theoretical side, so we are also looking at problems from the industry side, that is on the outreach component. The other component is we do have a very vibrant IP cell and innovation ecosystem which is now has been put in place. And we patent quite a lot of our stuff. There is a whole booklet which is available which gives you the technologies developed by IIT Kanpur according to the department and particular domain area, and this is available. And this booklet is also on the web, and it also gives you the international and domestic patent, and also some of them, how many of them have been commercialized and to which companies they have been commercialized. So there is a very vibrant intellectual property management this thing currently. So we take all the innovation which come from all the departments and source them and put them into the IP management. And we also have put in place a system wherein the faculty or the researcher who develops these innovations, they can start their own companies. Not only do they give it to the industry back, they also can start their own companies either by themselves or in collaboration with the industry. And we have successful faculty entrepreneurship, which is done our research entrepreneurship, where a couple of companies have been taken over by Biocon, like JMR projects and so on and so forth. We have some success stories in that. But of course, as he said, the Dean R&D can give you a better.
I think you're right. There is a booklet which has been brought out recently, and I think what we make sure is at least a few copies are available to us so that any other questions or comments?
The natural corollary to this question would be like, what do you do to publicize? Because of late, we feel that IIT as a brand, I mean, for various reasons, I mean, suddenly so many IIT mushrooms, the entrance examination going to so much of changes, number of students suddenly increasing so much. When we feel that, I mean, many times we feel whether it is still the best option or not. So what does IIT do to publicize enough that they are doing a lot of research work which is being recognized also? Because we do receive the magazines which comes from the association or the but I have doubts if it covers all these aspects.
If I may add to this, there was this lots of debate about diluting the standards of JEE for some, I think last year or earlier this year. So, but later on we didn't know whether anything happened because from HRD Ministry it was direction was coming. So has this actually happened, the dilution of standards of JEE?
See, I will open up between Dheeraj, I think so among 3-4 of us we will be able to answer that part, dilution part of the question. And regarding the publicity part, Dheeraj would like to add something?
I think
Because
we are very, very poor in marketing. There is no doubt. Which is very unfortunate in today's world. Our website should be much better than what it is.
I don't know if you will agree that IIT as a brand, it started establishing itself in the last decade. But in this decade, I feel that it has got a beating. I don't know if you agree with what I say.
well, yes and no. I mean, I will not deny it completely. I will not dismiss that charge out of hand. There is a meeting, and I think what we have to become is more proactive. See, we are kind of right now the way, if I were to look at it purely as an alumnus, I would say that right now, or let's say at the point, let's say 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we were at the top, or we were considered to be at the top because of all the hard work which had been put in over the previous generation of people. So now we are at a time when we are seriously challenged in that position. So we really need to go much more aggressive as far as publicity is concerned and doing a proper job of selling us. In fact, that was one of the items which was discussed in the institute, and we'll probably try to address that.
Do we have a budget for marketing?
Great question. I think budget is not an issue. It's really the mindset. Somehow I think the faculty members don't think about marketing as their primary concern, or even, I mean, there is a little interest in that, which some of the people who become paper pusher like me, in the administration, we think otherwise, but a unless the faculty at large start thinking about marketing as important, it becomes difficult for the institute administration to do much about it.
But
Can I-
isn't
See,
that
there is another complicated request. IT Kanpur, and this is something which the students will be of, I mean, there are a couple of students around here, and they would probably have some comments to make on that. And they will talk to you while you're here, and you'll hear their side of the story. See, for example, placement activities, and I don't know how many of you availed it, and how many of you are still in the companies where you were originally placed, and so on and so forth. But anyway, now, one way of looking at a placement activity would be that that is the office which is in charge of selling the product that you are having here. So we basically try to interact with the companies, try to tell them what we do and how good the students are and so on and so forth. So the placement office is one major interface with the industry. And marketing can take place there. Now, Kanpur for some reason has not made a basic policy decision that yes, that is the role of the placement office. What we still believe is a more conservative kind of thought process where we say that placement is a facility that we offer. And our main business, from that point of view, when we are talking to student and institute relationship, we are talking in terms of a situation where we are talking of primarily education. And whether education is in conflict with marketing or not, I mean, those are open questions. I mean, I don't think we need to we cannot discuss it across like this. We'll probably talk about it when we meet over dinner or lunch or some place informal kind of interaction. But yes, hesitation in the educational institutions, especially the government institutes like ours, and the kind of conservative thought process that prevails, that's one of the reasons which holds us back from this marketing kind of thing. So we are calling, I use the word gimmick, which is a value judgment almost. So I think I'll leave it at that. And we'll probably talk about it later. On the JE question, the facts, if I were to, what I understand, and Dheeraj will be able to correct me if I'm wrong. See, what happened, there was a lot of utapata going on with the JE business. JE exam this, JE exam that, and so on. Now, what happened at some point in time was that the ministry said that all these exams should be merged into one single large exam. Let it be held several times a year. I don't think they reached that stage where it's several times a year kind of thing happened. A lot of things were being said that let it become a SAT kind of an exam where you just have an exam. So all those kind of models were touted. IITs and IT Kanpur, as usual, was in the lead. Finally, IT Kanpur said, forget it. This is not the way we want to work. We would have our own joint entrance exam for IT Kanpur if it comes to that. And finally, what happened was that nothing materially changed. So there was no material change in the whole process. One of the things that is sacrosanct about JE is the fact that IIT is completely in control of the whole exam. From the paper setting to the logistics, to the grading, to the declaration of results. So there is a separate cell within the IIT which handles that operation. And if it had become a central government exam or a central exam, then it would have been a logical corollary that it goes out of control as far as direct control of the IIT is concerned. So that has not happened. So if that is what is now, whether that has led to dilution of the exam or not is a different matter altogether. I think we'll need to comment on that. But still the IITs. But yes, there is a change. The change is that now the JE is a two-tier exam. The preliminary exam and the main exam. The preliminary exam is not conducted by the IITs alone. I mean, it's not the old JE kind of a system where IITs would control the JE, only the preliminary exam. So based on the preliminary exam conducted somewhere else, that is a body which is appointed by the central government.
CBSE.
The CBSE has been charged with the responsibility of conducting that first exam. Based on that first exam, a certain number of candidates are identified to appear in the main exam. And that main exam is conducted by the IITs. So those of you who are familiar with the two-tier exam that happened in around 2000, and so on, at that time also we had a similar system. We had a preliminary exam and a main exam, but with the difference that at that time the preliminary and the main exam was both conducted by the IITs. But now the preliminary exam is being conducted by somebody else. That list comes to us with a smaller number. and the JEE main exam is conducted by the IITs.
So just on that, how much is the smaller number if you take 6,000 you would have said last year?
Okay, so the terminology is slightly different. The preliminary exam is called main exam, and the main exam that he is referred to is called advanced exam. So the main exam last year about 13 lakh people said, because that's supposed that's the first exam, and we selected 1.5 lakhs out of that for the second exam.
Out of it 6,000.
Out of which, no, 6,500 is the entire student body here. The admissions to all JEEs together is about 9,850 last year.
And this advanced exam is or it's a subjective choice.
Multi choice. It's an objective exam.
You still have surprise
Well, now this is an interesting question. See, the question is that do we still have surprise quizzes in the campus? The answer is yes and no. For the simple reason that the answer is yes because in principle there are still surprise quizzes in department courses and so on where we can do it, we do it. The answer is no, for the simple reason that with 800 people in a core course, it's not possible to hold the quiz, unless you want to hold a quiz in an L7 kind of an environment where there are other factors that operate. So, so what typically has started happening is that the quizzes in the core courses where the number of students is very large, they normally get pre-announced and they are held at a certain specified time where we kind of book the entire lecture hall complex or along the tutorial room and so on to be able to have a quiz for say 700 students. So there is a little bit of a difference which has happened on that sense.
I think that is the reason for brand addition.
surprise.
I mean, the number of students overall, managing them.
I'm not so sure, but yes, there will be an issue there. There will be surely an issue there. I mean, I don't want to open a discussion on that right now, but yes, there is an issue there. But we can only try to do as best as we can. At the end of it, we must understand that being a government institute, we have certain things which are beyond our control. So there are certain expectations as far as society is concerned. And part of that answer came by the government when they set up all these new IITs. So because the existing IITs could accommodate only as much, so the new institute was one option, increasing the number of students in the existing IITs was the other option. Government is used both.
Bunch of competitive people here, so this question is both to Professor Kripashankar sir and any batch that has stood out in terms, alumni batch that has stood out in terms of participating with the institute, and what did they do so that we can?
Well, I think you came here, you were in Hall 2, Hall 3, then moved to Hall 1. There are a lot of things here in this institute which go by number. There are some other IITs which go by the names of the rivers, mountains. This institute goes by the number. The building which you are in is also numbered. It is 6890. 6980. Answer to your question is that alumni are so much, you said that what is the significant contribution of some of the recent batches is giving such kind of buildings to the institute. So the batch, the number that I am reading out is the batch significantly give this building that we are sitting in right now. Well, that's just the joke part. I think yes. The fact that you have come here after 20 years, this is the first time that we have a batch coming to the institute after 20 years. It has been 25 years, then after 10, 15 years it became 35 years, then suddenly the 50-year batch got excited and started counting the number of the hair on the head, and they started coming. This is the first time that we have young people. The fact that you are asking so many questions, the fact that you are so inquisitive about knowing your institute is the significant contribution. I don't think that we really need building or money or anything like that. I think you are interested in having so many questions about your alma mater. In my way of reading, because I am going to retire soon. So in my way of reading, I think that's good enough for this institute to do the best in the world, and I think we will continue doing that. Keeping the emotions apart, I think in 1982, though I was teaching somewhere outside the country, somebody asked, actually he knew only IIT Kanpur in the name of IIT. He perhaps didn't know that there are other IITs also, 4 more other IITs in the country. So he said that IIT, by that he meant IIT Kanpur. Why it is so good? And there were 36 countries represented at that particular point in time. So my immediate answer at that time was that I had to give one good reason, and that too in front of the ambassadors of many, big countries. It has to be a quick answer. The answer which came was that it is good, reasonably okay, doing all right, just because the students keep the faculty at their toes. Today, I am able to very proudly repeat that this institute is going to do good because alumni are keeping this institute at their toes. The fact that you ask so many questions, you perhaps didn't realize how much value you have added. And particularly Bhatia ji, budget about marketing, etc. and all kind of things. I can see, are the questions which if you ask me to stand there, I may not like. But behind you, I am liking those questions very much. which we are talking about more on this kind of thing, the list of the activities, performed by the institute, which is good for a particular field. These listings were not done earlier, if you remember. When you came in 1989 here and passed out in 93 May, remember our documentation was not so significant, but we were rated the best in the world. Today, our documentation, definitely, as the Dean said, is not up to the mark. We need to improve upon the documents. Some of the questions that you raised perhaps would have been answered better if we had kept those things ready. We would have perhaps today entertained little better questions and heavier questions than they are, because I think the documentation definitely is not up to the mark. So there are a lot of things which have happened, and I wouldn't be able to name a particular batch as you asked. I think all the batches are contributing to the institute, and by the way of sometimes perhaps putting a little bit of embarrassing question and a little bit pointed question, but that's okay. I think we are used to those kind of questions quite a bit from our students. That is what I will summarize. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little bit of this thing. Try to just see the situation. I was with you when you were studying here. Vinay, I remember he was the Master of Engineering Management student in our department. I don't remember if any one of you had taken any course from Industrial and Management Engineering department at that time. But I remember the batch. Last 3 years, I took leave from this institute and became the Vice Chancellor. You won't believe, not many people have taken that. Vice Chancellor of a state technical university, that is Uttar Pradesh Technical University, which is a single technical university, state technical university governing 715 engineering colleges in the whole state of Uttar Pradesh. That's a very big number, telling too much about myself. What was driving the whole state of Uttar Pradesh in terms of the technical education was IIT Kanpur, and at many spots starting from Gorakhpur, there was a college at then, and all the way up to the Noida, and the last college, on the border of Uttar Pradesh and Delhi, was this number of alumni and the well-wishers, and of course the students and many faculty. Because everybody, not me, there were people who were more concerned about the image of the Vice Chancellor and the technical education in the state than myself. This is what the alumni have given to the society and have given to themselves. This is a very fine observation, may not make enough sense to you, only thing that one has to slightly experience these kind of things happening, perhaps to appreciate it a little more. Since I experienced it, so I'm just sharing with you that these things are seen sometimes, how the children of the alumni walk and talk amongst their friends. That speaks of what this institute is. You have very small children, perhaps most of you may not realize so much now, but someday you would realize what this institute has given to the next generation, though it has taught only you for 4 years. but it has done its job for, I think, generations to come. Not only one generation, I'll say the sequel of generations to come in the future. So there are contributions of alumni which are very sleepy, very silent, very long-term contributions, and very difficult to quantify. So I'm sorry I wouldn't be able to say A, B, C, D now in terms of itemize the answer to your question. But overall, I hope my colleagues agree that so much has been given, and all that is needed is this institute deserves and needs much more giving from the alumni, and that must continue in future as well. So you are welcome all the time, but I hope that you do come after 5 years again at the time of your Silver Jubilee reunion. We will revisit some of the Bhatia's questions at that time. Bhatia is just very favorite name, just a symbolic name. And we would like to jointly answer the question at that time. Today you are asking the secretary to answer. At that time you all will have to answer the questions which are being raised here. So that is how I will summarize my way of looking at that.
I have I'm told that we need to close this session for the simple reason that there are other things that are planned from your batch. You don't want to take too much time here. Before I close, I just want to make a couple of announcements. One is that there are, the institute activities we talked about, and the Gymkhana and the students are probably one of the main body of, as far as the institute is concerned, which has an interest in interacting with the alumni for telling them what the Gymkhana does now and what the students do now and what kind of problems they are facing and so on and so forth. So they look at you, and they don't look at me, even though I'm an alumnus, but they look at me more as an institute. They look at you as more as an alumnus. So they look at alumnus as more of those people with whom they can share their problems. One of them must be us. So some of them are which are represented here are there are some people from the SIDBI, that is the incubation center, that they have some questions they would like to have help from you, support from you. And then there are some students from the Vivekananda Samiti. I don't know if any of you were part of the Vivekananda Samiti activities when you were here. And what I've told these guys, in fact that is what I've told the Gymkhana as such, that we can't kind of have what's time allotted to them for a presentation, but I'd be happy if they will make you. They'll talk to you anyway, so if you can spare the time, talk to the students as much as you can and see whatever you can do to help them, support them, whatever it is. And as far as the Alumni Association or the institute is concerned, yes, we'll be happy to kind of facilitate that help flow in whichever way it goes. And lastly, an announcement that anybody who wants to go for gliding, the gliding is on, so if you want, you can contact me via one of the people here will be able to help you with the gliding center. So thanks a lot once again, and I must thank all the institute infrastructure support that we get for organizing these kind of activities, these kind of events. Thank you one and all, and I'd like to close this discussion. You have a point? Yeah. Yes, that's right. We missed that.
Cheese, steak. Okay, one.
अरे YouTube with video One more thing.
अरे वाह, विनय जी उतर रहे हैं ग्लाइडिंग के लिए।
सर कल भी होगा। कल 3:30 हो जाएगा।
sheet of paper, plain sheet.
हाँ सर।
Just write the names in a sequence.
हाँ वो बेटर होगा सर।
आप आइए, दूसरा साइन कर देगा।
एक काम करो,
नहीं, कोई जो दूसरा है आप आ जाइए।
और कौन एक और कोई कर दे, 2 लोग हो जाए।
इसमें दो मना कर दूं। अच्छा तू अपने वीडियो 2 लड़के ना, दोनों साथ चलते।
हाँ आ जाओ।
What is your son's name? You haven't told me.
नहीं एक्चुअली गेम बहुत
देखो उधर देखो।
नाइस। है ना ये देखो
हम लोग एक फोटो
तो जो लोग वो 3 पत्ती में क्या होगा रूल कि जो लोग यूएस में रहते हैं वो डॉलर में लगाएंगे और इक्विवेलेंट रुपीस में हम लोग खेलेंगे।
हम लोग एक कम
1 to 1
ताली लगवा दो, हीरो लगाएंगे।
हाँ बड़ी जल्दी आया था।
हो गया, बस केक रखकर लगा के आया था।
बस एक चक्कर लगवा देते।
चलो यार बच्चों को खुश करो।
अभी सनसेट हो रहा है, अदरवाइज थोड़ा और लंबा करते हैं। वाइड करो, टेली क्यों कर रहे हो?
हम लोग एक दिन आए थे, जिस दिन फ्लाइट
आया क्यों नहीं? फिर अब यहाँ से दिखा रहे हैं, यहाँ थोड़ा बंद
कहीं से
आ जाएंगे। भीड़ भी तो नजर आने लगी।
तुम पीछे आ तो
हम आ जाएंगे। आएगा, क्यों चिंता कर रहे हो?
अरे इतना ग्राउंड दिख जाएगा, बहुत तेज आदमी है। हाँ ओके वाला फील ओके यार। Oh, one more, wait. क्यों नहीं चली यार?
नीचे से लो, नीचे लिए ठीक
चलो बैठो, लगाओ जरा।
मेन उद्देश्य था अपनी नॉलेज दिखाना। सिर्फ मेन उद्देश्य सिर्फ ये था कि नॉलेज दिखाना। नहीं है क्या करता कुछ एनमास
जलेबी बना रहे
एनमास ऑर्डर करते हैं कुछ
बना रहे हो, तुम्हें पहचान लिया है वो मतलब
पहचान लिया सर। अब आप ना पहचानो बात अलग है। एमटी का ढांचा भी थोड़ा बदल गया है।
ज्यादा नहीं बदला है?
हाँ
ये देख के मैं खुशी हुई कि ज्यादा नहीं बदला। कहाँ बदला है?
ये समोसे दो 20 के। रोक लो बाकी
चलो भाई चलो।
है कि नहीं है?
वीडियो चल रहा है? हाँ? मैं इसमें आ रहा हूँ। अब इससे क्या करोगे? सबको दोगे? कुछ नहीं होने वाला है।
बस ये लोग खिलाएंगे।
बैठो ना, आ जाओ ऐसे बैठो, इधर आ जाओ।
और तो नहीं कर लिया ये बात आप किधर
Ambassador is the head in the
साइड फोटो ले लिया। or whether otherwise, वो थोड़ा है कि he's a very
Wait, I know a good idea. What are you doing, Manu?
God bless you. How are you, my child? Look at me.
I am living here at 29. At morning
मेरा मन तेरा प्यासा, मेरा मन तेरा पूरी कब होगी आशा, मेरा मन तेरा किसका है ये तुमको इंतजार में हूँ ना, दिल जो न कह सका वही राज दिल कहने की रात आई, दिल जो न कह सका देख लो इधर तो एक बार मैं हूँ ना, तू जहाँ चलेगा मेरा साया साथ होगा, मेरा साया मेरा साया मेरा साया खामोश क्यों हो, जो भी कहना है कहो, मैंने तेरे लिए ही 7 रंग के सपने चुने, सपने सुन ले सपने, दिल चाहे जितना प्यार उतना मांग लो, फूलों के रंग से दिल की कलम से तुझको लिखी रोज पाती, कैसे बताऊं किस तरह से पल पल मुझे तुम सताती, तेरे सपने ले ले